the endless scroll. Once you'd scroll and have to click to get to the next page. Now the page never ends, sucking us endlessly in.
We've found that if you don't give your mind or your brain the time to catch up with your impulses, you don't give people stopping cues, you just keep scrolling. Something we didn't realize is we're using our design techniques and it became so powerful that it just addicts people.
That is leading tech engineer Asa Raskin on the BBC series Panorama. In the investigation by our BBC partners, Silicon Valley insiders say our phones are designed to be addictive, and that makes it harder to disconnect. Nearly 1 in 10 Americans checks their phone every 3 minutes while on vacation, and some use their phone more than 300 times a day. David Pogue is a tech columnist for Yahoo Finance.
Did you say something?
Who is permanently on his phone. However, he is here with tips on how to unplug during your summer vacation. This is an intervention, actually, David.
We brought you here to talk about your phone, David.
Exactly. But seriously, you hear about the amount of times and minutes that Americans are on their phones every single day. What are some tips to get away from that, at least while on vacation?
So on vacation, obviously, if you have the self-discipline, you can go in and turn off the notifications from the apps that bother you most and tempt you most. But if you don't have that self-discipline, this is where these tips come in. First of all, announce to your family or your companion what your expectations are. Say, okay, I'm allowed to check the sports scores before bed. I'm allowed to check the news in the morning. But other than that, I'm off the phone. And that way, you will guilt yourself, and they're allowed to nag you.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you don't have the ability to turn on Do Not Disturb or something like that, my wife had this great suggestion: delete the apps. Delete Facebook, Twitter.
That's radical.
I've heard people do that, deleting Twitter until they come back. Yeah.
And of course, you know, if you're really pathetic, you can reinstall them on vacation and look, but it's that one more obstacle.
That's a fiendish behavior, deleting and reinstalling. What if companies understand, though, that self-control is one piece of this, but they're also instituting policies to help their employees wean themselves.
Some great stories. The big one is Daimler, the German automaker, gives you the option when you go on vacation, your out-of-office auto-reply can say, by the way, I'm on vacation, your email will be deleted. If it's important, email me after August 15th, or if it's really important, send it to my colleague, Anthony Mason. And my point is, there's nothing to stop anyone.
I do that all the time.
Get all of our emails.
Please don't send your emails. But this has become. But what's interesting here is that's a work problem. But I mean, we've spent so much time on our phones now, not just because we're inundated with work emails, but because of all these social apps we're connected to too. So it's like, I mean, I love the idea of endlessly being sucked in, as this guy on the BBC report says. It is a problem. I mean, how do you have to disconnect your social life as well?
You do. I mean, we are literally addicted in the medical sense, so we get a little dopamine kick every time we check, every time someone likes us, and so on. But you can fight apps with apps. So there are these apps, like for Android, there's one called Offline. It's sort of like a Do Not Disturb on steroids. It blocks all apps, messaging, text calls, except from the people you designate as important. And for the iPhone, this one called Onward is similar. You can put time limits on which apps you use. They give you a report.
You need a self-discipline app.
Yeah. I mean, are they going to redesign some of this stuff in the future, knowing what we know now?
They are. In fact, this is the year for digital health. Both Apple for the iPhone operating system this fall and Android for Android P coming soon, both have this new mode that tallies up and shows you how many times a day you wake up your phone. And by the way, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Average person, 85 times a day, average. I've been running the beta, and it's like 130. I'm like, oh my, what's wrong with me? And it'll also let you set time limits for certain apps, like no more than 6 hours a day on Facebook.
Should we be nervous when we hear more 6 hours a day? Should we be nervous when we hear more and more of these sex executives say that they do not let their kids use these apps and use phones too?
You know, my feeling is that every generation has its technological bugaboo for their kids, right? So my parents weren't allowed to listen to the radio so much.
That's right.
For me, don't watch so much TV. For my kids, get your face out of that phone. Every generation, it's normal, it's human, and it's generally overblown.
Well, there's some data on there about social networks that are just digital and not physical. So it's good to talk to your friends and not look at your phone.
I'm just saying that different doesn't mean worse.
Okay, David Pogue, a decided optimist about all of this.